Hello everybody, welcome back, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the Macabre Experiment. The Macabre Experiment is a series that takes a twist on infamous creepypasta stories and provides a new story behind the already disturbing lore. This new series, the Macabre Experiment, was created by the creator of Sneaky Snack Bar, a series that we have covered on this channel a little bit ago, a series based on the animatronics of a location called Sneaky's Snack Bar. However, since a lot of people were saying that Sneaky Snack Bar was extremely similar to FNAF, which I highly disagree because it gave an entirely new story, but the creator decided to stop making Sneaky Snack Bar and decided to instead create a new series called the Macabre Experiment. And if you are interested in a video covering Sneaky Snack Bar, we actually did cover that a while back, so I'll have that linked in the description if you are interested. Also, be sure to check out all of Stuffy's videos as the creator and the mastermind behind all of this. However, the Macabre Experiment is Stuffy's most recent endeavor in the analog horror scene, and it does not disappoint. With 5 installments released up to date, the horrors within these tapes is truly a gift to us analog horror enthusiasts. So without further ado, my name is Wowman. Do not forget to subscribe, it would help a lot. And yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy the Macabre Experiment. Also, I have a new microphone now, so hopefully the audio is slightly better now. The first episode in the series starts off with a silhouette of a body stating, "Failed experiment number 22, Smile.jpg." And what proceeds is a conversation between two people, Wyatt Miller and another unnamed person. The unknown person asks Wyatt for elaboration on how this all began. Wyatt proceeds to tell the person that they invited their friends to go camping because they haven't been getting along recently, and saw this camping trip as an opportunity to revive the friendship. The whole friend group had a falling out that Wyatt doesn't go into detail about. One of the friends, named Max, couldn't make it to the camping trip, although Wyatt suspects that he just didn't want to go because of what happened.
My friends and I, we haven't exactly been getting along recently. There's things I wish I could take back, things that maybe they wish they could take back. I thought finally hanging out again could help, but one of my friends, Max, he couldn't make it, or so he said. Interesting.
Wyatt then goes on to say that when they were camping, they saw a leash on the ground and dried up blood in the dirt. But Wyatt decided not to tell the rest of the friend group to avoid a freakout.
We saw a leash on the ground and dried up blood in the dirt. Okay, I saw it. I didn't tell the others. I didn't want them to freak out and want to leave. We were finally together again, you know?
So Wyatt sees a bloody leash dried up on the ground and decides to tell no one, even though it's like right next to their camping ground.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
I would not go camping with Wyatt. Just a thought. Later that night, Wyatt says that they heard barking in the distance, but when they ask the rest of their friends, they say that they don't hear a thing.
Moved along. Later that night, I heard distant barking. The others said they didn't hear a thing when I asked them what that was. We all shared a tent.
In the morning, they packed up and headed home. Done with the camping trip, Wyatt sat in their room and opened up their computer, only to find a direct message on their computer from an anonymous user. Within the message was a link, and Wyatt's curiosity got the best of them. They clicked the link. Also, quick PSA, you guys definitely know this, but do not click any funky links that strangers send you. The internet can be a very dangerous place, so please do not click strange links from strangers. Unless I send you a link. If I send you a link, you should click that link immediately. Like the link in the description, do not click that thing. It says warning, do not click, so I'm warning you right now. Please do not click that link. You probably clicked it. Weirdo. Wyatt ends up clicking the link and is directed to an image of a dog. A smiling dog with human teeth.
A haunting, terrible image. It was a dog, but not just any dog. He was smiling. The dog had human teeth in its mouth. I immediately thought of the leash and the blood and the barking.
And that's when Wyatt's mind begins to spiral, trying to convince themselves that this is some sort of sick joke and not a reference to the bloody collar that they found in the woods. They begin saying that the image started to make them hear voices in their head, making them feel insane. Repeating the phrase, "Spread the image." And after hearing the phrase over and over, Wyatt begins to grow weak. They break down and send the link to their friends. They finally gave in. Something Wyatt blames themselves for.
It kept talking to me, and I don't know why. I said to my friends, I shouldn't have done it. I really shouldn't have. I'm responsible for their murder.
The person talking to Wyatt tells Wyatt that they can continue tomorrow and to get some rest. And that's when we discover that the person that Wyatt was talking to is most likely Wyatt's psychiatrist, trying to help them deal with the trauma that they went through, trauma that the image inflicted upon them, and the overwhelming guilt of thinking they are responsible for their friend's murder. Because when Wyatt's friends were sent the link, as soon as they clicked it, they were killed. We are then shown what happened when Wyatt clicked the link to the image. Their computer glitches out, and the image of the dog appearing right in front of them. The voice repeating the phrase, "Spread the image." The tape cuts out and is stitched into an old cartoon. And the cartoon in question is a cartoon called MGM Cartoon, with an episode titled Doggone Tired, released back in 1949. The cartoon proceeds as normal with the dog trying to get some rest, but there is constantly something new keeping them up. Finally, the dog fixes all the issues and goes to bed, but the silhouette of a blacked out figure appears at the bed of the sleeping canine. An allegory for the spirit of the dog that was murdered in those woods, where Wyatt found the bloody collar. We're then shown mountains in the distance overlooking a field of flowers, an atmosphere of serenity directly contrasting the horrors of these tapes.
I was having the most wonderful dream. I finally felt free. I got to be away from the people I hate. In my dream there is no day. Everything is peaceful. Everything is warm. I can't help but smile.
The tape cuts out, and we're shown a bloodied image of a person named Sadie. Both arms violently ripped off as they lie on the ground. Sweet dreams, Sadie. After Wyatt's interview, the man was interested in seeing the image, but previously told not to look at it or he would be killed. The man thought this could not be true. He believed there was another reason as to why Wyatt's friends were murdered. He opened the image. He was found dead 2 days later. And the person asking to see the image was Wyatt's friend, the one who decided not to go on the camping trip, Max. Now the only remaining friend is Wyatt. Perhaps whatever took Wyatt's friends chose to spare them, only for them to have to watch as their friends are murdered, while they are spared. A punishment worse than death. The guilt of knowing that this is their fault. As Wyatt spends their days slowly growing more unstable, attempting to cure their incurable guilt through psychiatry sessions.
I'm responsible for their murder.
The second installment in the Macabre Experiment is an episode called Not Alive, Mouse. In the same fashion as the previous episode, we are shown a silhouette. However, this time rather than being shown a body, we are shown the bloodied logo of a famous mouse. I'm not even entirely sure if I can say what the mouse's name is. Failed experiment number 16. The mouse. And then we are shown text of somebody speaking to the audience. This case includes the mention of death and not alive. It's not for the faint of heart. If you happen to stumble across this private file, delete it immediately. Otherwise, let's get to the investigation. Our first person of interest is Diana Cooper. The installment begins and we get a phone call from a person named Diana Cooper, making a phone call to their significant other. Diana complains to their significant other about some guy that she works with, saying that all he wants to do is sit around and smoke cigars all day instead of actually doing his work.
I tried speaking to him. He really just doesn't listen to anything anymore. All he wants to do is sit around and smoke a cigar instead of actually getting his work done. We need him to prepare for the show.
Diana continues to rant about this man, and it becomes very evident that Diana truly despises this person. Diana finishes the call by saying once this is over, they'll head home to their significant other. And what plays before us is an old Mickey Mouse animation. This animation is extremely distorted and it seems like an unfinished project that needs further development. Mickey stands in a pitch black room, and that's when we see it. The smiling spirit from the last installment, grinning from within the darkness, staring at the viewer. The animation progresses and a figure comes out of the closet and walks toward Mickey's cowering person. And the spirit reveals itself. The tape cuts out and we are shown an interchange between Diana and her despised co-worker, Curtis. Curtis tells Diana that he has everything under control, however in reality does not. He's not even close to finishing. A note from Diana's significant other then appears before us, stating the following. I know that you're excited for the show to premiere, sweetie. I'll be home right after and you can tell me how it was. I love you. It then becomes clear to us that Curtis is one of the animators of the Mickey Mouse show, and Diana is one of the people in charge of airing the actual show, which is why she is so concerned with Curtis not meeting the deadline. Because if Curtis doesn't finish animating the show, there is no show to air. Which makes so much sense as to why she is so frustrated, because if he doesn't finish, they can't air the show, and the blame will most likely come onto her. The tape cuts out and we're shown a disfigured Mickey repeating the phrase, "Your child is dead." Similar to what the spirit did in the last installment, repeating the phrase, "Spread the image," however this time saying, "Your child is dead." And as to whose child is dead, it is unclear. We switch back to the Mickey Mouse animation and are shown Mickey Mouse wandering in darkness, stuck in a repeating loop. That is, until he stops and stares at the viewer with a grim expression. Seconds later, taken into darkness. We are then shown the following text. The following is a call from Rowan Withers that was recorded for investigation. Rowan Withers, the son of Curtis Withers, the animator from earlier. Now as for what Rowan says on the phone, it's pretty hard to make out, but essentially what Rowan is saying is that he found his father's body. Rowan is in complete anguish, having to stare at the body of his own father, lying lifeless on the ground. Mickey's eyes stare at the screen, and it's revealed once again who is inside the mouse. We are shown another photograph of someone else who was murdered. Diana. It seems that the spirit from the previous video has a knack for making its way into pieces of media. It's made its way into the animation created by Curtis, making its way inside of his head, just like it did to Wyatt. Only Curtis couldn't take this constant voice in his head any longer, and decided to put a permanent end to the voice inside his head. Diana, upon watching the animation, suffered the same fate. One final note is shown to us from one of Diana's co-workers. Guess what, Diana? I got the film we needed. Took some work. It's rare, you know. Bought it off some shady company. They recreated the costume on their own, they said. Pretty impressive, honestly. It looks pretty legit to me. I'm sure the boss won't notice. Just don't let him know where I got it, alright? He's gonna be glad we managed to find this. Silas. Episode 3. Microbes. This time around, the installment begins in a different manner than the previous ones we've already looked at, starting off by showing the FE Protective Agency. But as for what we do know about them, the FE Agency is an agency that is investigating the phenomenon of these paranormal appearances that are taking lives. The tape cuts out and states that the following is footage of a person that was deployed for our organization. Following, it states that who later attempt to escape the facility, and what follows is a message that is playing off of an old TV. Don't worry about where you are, just pay attention to the screen. This is a vital process for your survival. Thank you for cooperating. Within the message, it does tell us that there was a man that worked at an old organization known as Macabre Labs, named after a person called Ethan Macabre. Ethan Macabre, the person in question, during their time at the organization had attempted human experiments for their own benefit. Pretty much every experiment done by Ethan Macabre resulted in them going horribly wrong, and causing most people that they were experimenting on to either die or suffer worse consequences. And as for the ones that were experimented on and managed to escape death, those people were horribly disfigured and deformed. And on top of that, they would also lose all of their memories, essentially becoming a disfigured shell of the person that they used to be, a direct result of the experiments that Ethan was performing on them. And on top of all of this, the experiments that Ethan was conducting caused microbes to release in the air, which spread more and more over time. Microbes being extremely tiny organisms that are too small to be seen with the naked eye. The microbes in question were able to travel not only through living beings, but able to travel through inanimate objects, and could even travel through forms of technology like what we saw with the animation and the link sent in the first episode. Making it so much as saying a screen could infect you with these microbes, like what happened with the friends in episode 1. All they did was click a link and see an image, and as a result were infected with these microbes and were unfortunately killed. However, as to why Wyatt didn't die because of these microbes, it is still unknown. The tape goes on to say that Ethan was never caught and had gone missing after discovering the microbes that were coming out of his experiments. And after all of this, after the failed experiments, the microbes going loose, this caused Macabre Labs to shut down. And thus a term was coined for those that were infected with the microbes, Macabres. The final statement given is that these failed experiments can be aggressive and manipulative. And that's when the person watching the tape hears something over their shoulder. A macabre. They try desperately to escape the facility but are killed by the macabre. The person in this tape was a person that was working for the FE Protective Agency, the agency that is investigating this phenomenon of macabres. So what happened is that the agency sent a person into these old macabre facilities to gather further research on the phenomenon of the macabres. And although the person was able to successfully gather this information, they were, unfortunately, killed in the process. And the person that killed this researcher was a boy that used to be called Jeffrey Woods. Jeff the Killer. And so it becomes clear that through these experiments, microbes were released into the air and infected people through media and other sorts of ways that have led to the transpired events. Events that end in tragedy every time. Events caused by Ethan Macabre. Episode number 4. The Macabre Experiment number 3. Ben drowned. In this installment, it's labeled as failed experiment number 8. Hey everybody, quick cut. This is not a sponsored segment, so please do not skip it. But yeah, this is just a little message from me to you. So I did recently graduate from university, so that is very cool, very awesome, right? Like, I should be super pumped. Since I did graduate university, pretty awesome. I'm going to be taking the next 3 months off to work on YouTube, so awesome for you guys too, right? So yeah, at the same time, I'm going to be applying to jobs just in case during this 3-month period off from doing nothing but YouTube. So yeah, I am going to be applying to jobs, just in case, just as like a backup, I don't want to fully put all my eggs in one basket, just in case. But yeah, I did create a Patreon so you guys can directly support me and directly support the channel so I can keep making these videos. And at the moment, there are 2 tiers. There is the flower tier and there is the king/queen slay tier, which is, like the higher tier. So both tiers have the same amount of features. There's Patreon only updates, chat community, and live streams. But yeah, if you decide to go for the higher tier, it would mean so much to me. You would be directly going that extra mile to, support the channel, which means so much. But either tier that you choose, if you do decide to choose, I'm not forcing you. If you do decide to choose a tier to join, that's already so much. It means so much to me. But yeah, I did want to let you guys know just so I can, try to do this full time, which is the dream, obviously. But if you guys support me on Patreon, you would be helping me reach that goal and, we'd reach it together. And also, I'm doing this very special thing that if you do join the king/queen tier, in the next 3 weeks, I will personally deliver you a postcard with my own handwriting on it. I know it's not great. Maybe I'll do a little drawing on it. I might get a little crazy with it. I sketched up a little drawing that, is my art is very bad compared to the channels that I've looked at on this channel. But this is just kind of like an example of what I can draw. Yeah, this is what I can draw. I know it's ugly. Consider joining the king/queen slay tier if you want a postcard with some writing of mine on there and a weird drawing. But yeah, be sure to check out my Patreon. It means so much to me. Alright, I'll let you guys back to the video. See ya. Link in the description. The link is in the description, I forgot to say. Ben drowned. This installment is based around the creepypasta legend Ben drowned. Probably shouldn't be that hyped about it. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this creepypasta as it's one of the most infamous creepypastas ever, and it's one that I was really excited to watch. I remember being like 11 years old, watching Ben drown creepypasta videos and being oddly intrigued by the horrors of it. But yeah, definitely one of the moments that branched my timeline into this one. I wonder what I would have became if I never watched Ben drowned. Maybe I would be an accountant. That's definitely the darker timeline. Being an accountant. Sorry for everybody that has accountant friends or parents or is an accountant. I just don't see that as something I would like to do. So for those of you unfamiliar with Ben Drowned, it's about a cartridge that this person buys at a garage sale from an old man, only to discover an old save file on the said cartridge. Cartridge is full of glitches, and eventually the person discovers that Ben was the name of a 12-year-old boy who had drowned 8 years prior and now haunts the game. Check out my ring. There's a lot more lore to it than that, but that is kind of the gist of the creepypasta. The tape begins and we're introduced to somebody named Oliver. Oliver talks about how he's been wanting to get a copy of Majora's Mask, but the prices for the game were way out of their budget.
I don't know, I just felt like buying it. I was familiar with the game and remembered playing it at my friend's house. I thought I could try and beat it on my own. Sure, it was a used copy, but it was all I could really afford.
Also, if you try to get a copy of Majora's Mask now, it's almost impossible. Those things are super expensive for no reason. Also, yeah, I want one. So like the creepypasta, Oliver decides to buy a used version of the game from a garage sale.
I found it at a yard sale. I don't know, I just felt like buying it.
Then saying that the game began to creep Oliver out even more the longer that Oliver played. Oliver goes on to say that there was a character in the game that looked like Link, but the face was different, and that the character followed Oliver everywhere. Oliver says that they tried to beat one of the in-game bosses, but he would just repeat the same phrase, just like a Macabre. Link's entire body burned to a crisp. The boss fight resets, but Link's death is repeated once again, and again, and again. We're then met with the face of a child named Ben, with a text that reads, "Please help me." Link's body lie lifeless on the ground, and in the distance we can see the Macabre, grinning, getting closer and closer, laughing maniacally. The game boots up once again, and Link's character sprite is bent, as if Link's back was snapped in half. The game is then suddenly interrupted by Ben. "I've been stuck in a shell. I just want to be freed. I want to rest peacefully without him." And then it becomes clear that the microbes have taken over and are living inside of Ben's spirit, turning him into a Macabre. Episode number 5, Jeff the Killer. In this installment, it takes inspiration from the infamous Jeff the Killer creepypasta. So real quick, a quick spark note, a refresher for everybody unfamiliar with the Jeff the Killer creepypasta. Jeff the Killer was given the name of a 13-year-old boy who, after surviving a brutally disfiguring attack from bullies, had a mental break and slaughtered them in retribution. The bully attack had left Jeff badly burned, and in order to keep his spirits up, he carved a garish smile into his face. Within the tape, it starts in traditional fashion. This time we're being shown failed experiment number 5. So we started with 22, then 16, then 8, and now we're on to experiment number 5. A message from the FE Protective Agency plays on screen. "Welcome back. It's been a while. Please note that whatever you see during the investigation must remain private and cannot be shared to the public. You've been warned." And the following is a phone call from Rowan Withers that was recorded for the investigation. So quick reminder, Rowan Withers was the son of Curtis Withers, the man who offed themselves because they couldn't take the voices inside of their head, the person that was animating the Mickey Mouse cartoon that Diana had a true hate for. But yeah, microbes were able to make their way inside of Curtis Withers' head, which caused him to go insane and ended up offing himself. So then we are presented with the phone call from his son, Rowan. Rowan is having a conversation with his friend, or at least he thinks it's his friend.
I should check. It's probably those raccoons again. They're always going into the trash. No, nobody's outside. Then come on. You weren't at the front door, though. Go upstairs. The window.
A Macabre comes into Rowan's room, and the screen goes black. only for us to see Rowan pointing a gun at his friend and then shoots. A message appears on screen. You lost your only friend and your father. Now, your own will to live. You have nothing, Rowan. You're alone. And with that, Rowan is responsible for murdering his only friend. It is unclear whether his friend was being controlled by microbes, or the Macabre had made Rowan hallucinate and make Rowan think that their friend was a threat. However, both circumstances lead to the same outcome. Rowan shot down his only friend in cold blood, making him a murderer and truly alone. His father, his friend, both gone, and Rowan is alone. The tape then cuts to a computer interface. Macabre attendance check. Melissa Stockholm, joyless. Current state, in containment. Dakota Norman, the abomination. Current state, in containment. Jack Nichols, eyeless Jack. Current state, in containment. Hal Gordman, the Hallowed. Current state, in containment. Macabre after Macabre, all contained within this facility that's holding them all hostage. Well, not hostage, but in containment, preventing them from further killing any more innocent people. That is until we get to Jeffrey Woods, Jeff the Killer. Current state, escaped containment. The tape cuts out and we are presented with a suit that is administered to those who undergo experimentation, and then goes on the list of things the suit protects the user from. Most importantly, this suit makes it impossible for you to be infected by microbes. The tape repeats the final message: never let them out. Because as we learned before, Macabres are manipulative and can manipulate people into doing things that they don't want to do. And so it becomes clear that Jeff the Killer was able to manipulate one of the people at the facility, as there is a reminder in this tape saying, never let them out. A clear message saying that you have the possibility of being manipulated and freeing these Macabres. So this is just a reminder that you should never let them out. But obviously one person working at the facility was, unfortunately, manipulated into letting Jeff the Killer free. However, before the tape can conclude, we're given one final message that is rushed through by the narrator. By entering our facility, you are held responsible for any inconvenience caused by your foolish or inability to handle our work environment. Please refer to the instructional guide/handbook for more information. We thank you for taking part in this wonderful facility and look forward to seeing how you positively impact our company. Please note that any sign of disobedience may result in immediate experimentation or punishment. We will not tolerate misbehavior during work hours. And with that, the series concludes. Endless Macabres roaming the world just waiting for their next victim. Microbes floating within the air resulting from a failed experiment from Ethan Macabre. A world truly lost. Macabres taking lives and an inability to keep them contained. And the horrors that could follow the escaped Macabres could truly be devastating. But yeah, that was the Macabre Experiment. I hope you enjoyed. Also, I'm not sure if I will continue saying explained because, again, these are all my interpretations, so maybe I will lean away from explained series and just cover these on my own and explain my own thoughts on them. So yeah, if you could subscribe to the channel so I can keep making these videos, I would highly appreciate it. And it would, deter me from my adult life a little bit longer. I'm only 20. I graduated really early. It sucks. I mean, it's cool, but it sucks. Yeah, whatever. Hey guys, Editor Wildman here again. Just be sure to check out that Patreon. It would be so cool if you did. But yeah, thank you for spending time with me. I truly enjoy having you. It's great spending some time with you. And I'll see you in the next one. Please have a wonderful day. Stay safe. And yeah, that's everything.